Takes some. From Lucknow, it takes about 2 hours.
Written like one should reside in this place for quickly killing.
Of course, wherever the Supreme Lord is and wherever Bhagavatam is being spoken, that is as good as Naimisharanya. Here in Navadip Mandal also we have one Naimisharanya, correct? On the Parikrama there is.
A small one, little doubt. When Balram was on pilgrimage, that time it came.
Correct.
So that time the Bhagavatam was spoken or it was later?
Later. So that time Romarshan didn't speak Bhagavatam, na? Romarshan was speaking, it's mentioned in the Bhagavatam that Romarshan was speaking some scriptures. He was speaking something, but he didn't speak Bhagavatam.
His son spoke later.
Yes, so
He powered that time.
Balramji empowered Sutta Goswami to continue that assembly or continue the sacrifice that was going on. And then later on Shaunak Rishi, as we will see, he is a devotee amongst all those sages present there. Shaunak Rishi is a devotee. And so therefore then Shaunak Rishi expressed his, as we will see now, that's the questions which they are asking. So because Shaunak Rishi, he is a devotee and he asked those type of questions, then Sutta Goswami begins to speak the Bhagavatam.
Sorry, between the time where Sutta Goswami has been enthroned amongst the sages of Naimisharanya and the time he speaks against, how many time, how long years? You know? Between the time where his father has been killed and the time where he met the sage again after hearing the Bhagavatam. You know that?
Met the sage again? No, it's, see, he has already heard the Bhagavatam from Shukdev Goswami.
Yeah, but before, when he has been put as the leader of the sage, as the son of Maharshan. Isn't it?
I'm not very clear about the question.
Maharshan Sutta was killed.
Exactly.
Sutta Goswami was put there.
Yes.
It happened way before. It was during the pilgrimage of Balaram, isn't it?
Yes.
And what is the time?
Okay, fine. So they were performing the sacrifice mentioned over here for 1,000 years.
It is just beginning, no? Just beginning, some 12 years.
Yes, so now in this 1,000 year sacrifice, where exactly they were at that point now, it's not mentioned.
No, Prabhuji, it must be the battlefield of Kurukshetra plus Yudhishthir Maharaj's 40 years of reign and then Parikshit Maharaj's reign, so it must not be much time. Because Balaram went when this Kurukshetra war started. So 18 days of that, 40 years of Yudhishthir Maharaj's reign. I don't know, I think he reigned for only 40 years. How much he reigned for Yudhishthir Maharaj?
He has been cursed by Gandhari to live a certain amount of years.
Anyway, so that period for 18 days, then...
See, basically we do understand that the Bhagavad Gita was spoken almost towards the end of Dwapar Yuga.
Yeah.
Yes, the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. That means the Kurukshetra war, Bhagavad Gita was spoken almost towards the end of Dwapar Yuga. So whatever be of maybe a few 1,000 years, maybe something like that, that Yudhishthira reigned, and then there was Parikshit Maharaj. So then Parikshit Maharaj ruled for some time.
Yeah, that question. Which I have a question. So in Dwapar Yuga, people lived for 1,000 years.
Yes.
How come they continued this activity? I mean, they died, their generations died, and they continued.
Yes. So of course, here it is mentioned that it was for
10,000 years.
8,000 years sacrifice.
1,000. Here it says 1,000. 1,000. So maybe it's Yudhishthira Maharaj, he ruled for some time. So that time, then Parikshit Maharaj few years. And then after Parikshit Maharaj, so then he died, then Shukdev Goswami spoke. So basically it must be within this 1,000 years. Within that 1,000 year period, sometime it took place. That's what we can understand. Now exactly we don't know.
Prabhu, just one thing.
Ah.
So Sutta Goswami left the sacrifice, went and heard from Maharaj Parikshit, and then again came back and spoke. Something like that.
Could be.
Good question.
Possible, no? Possible.
But probably they say that it is always existing, Srimad Bhagavatam.
No, that's true. But then still that's true, no doubt about it. But still we understand that Sudha Goswami heard from Shukadeva Goswami. In fact, Sudha Goswami speaks that he heard from Shukadev when Shukadev was speaking to Parikshit. He himself admits that. Okay, fine. And with those, whatever is there, the details, all those details exactly are not mentioned here. And with those are theoretical details. Okay, at the end of the next paragraph, again, Prabhupada makes this point that all acts must be performed sacrificially for the satisfaction of Vishnu and his devotees. This will bring everyone peace and prosperity. And another important point towards the end of the next paragraph, Prabhupada says, only those branches and leaves which are detached cannot be so satisfied. Detached branches and leaves dry up gradually despite all watering attempts. Similarly, human society, when it is detached from the personality of Godhead like detached branches and leaves, is not capable of being watered, and one attempting to do so is simply wasting his energy and resources. Okay, so real satisfaction of the human society is only by linking with the Supreme. Okay, continuing this commentary. Continue to read this.
When they took up bhakti, then their inquisitiveness became weakened and performance of sacrifice for attaining Swarga became false. This is indicated in the following. Kalim agatam abhyar kshetre asmin vaishnave bayam asina dirghas satrena
Kataya
sakshana hari. Knowing well that the age of Kali has already begun, we are assembled here in this holy place to hear and learn the transcendental message of the Lord, and in this way perform sacrifice for the Lord. The power of bhakti is indicated by the cessation of attachment to prescribed duties which arose in them from hearing Bhagavatam.
Okay, so as we know, the sages of Naimisharanya are given as an example for what? In the Chaturveda Bhajante Mam?
Wise, inquisitive.
Jigyasu. They're given as example of Jigyasu. That's what he says. When they took up bhakti, then their inquisitiveness became weakened and performance of sacrifice for attaining Swarga became false. So all these other motives for the performance of sacrifice came to the side or became weakened when Sutta Goswami began to speak. And then because of the bhakti of Sutta Goswami, then they were also influenced by that bhakti. And then these other motives for hearing, they be weakened. Okay, text 5. Ta ekada tu munaya pratar huta hutagnya satkritam sutam asinam paprachur idam adarat. One day after finishing their morning duties by burning a sacrificial fire and offering a seat of esteem to Srila Sutta Goswami, the great sages made inquiries with great respect about the following matters. Prabhupada begins his purport by saying, morning is the best time to hold spiritual services. Why? Okay, Brahma Muhurta. So what is the importance of the Brahma Muhurta?
Sattva.
Yes, Sattva Guna especially. So they also began in the morning, and another important point Prabhupada speaks about is all bona fide representatives of Sri Vyasadeva in the chain of disciplic succession are to be understood to be Goswamis. These Goswamis restrain all their senses and they stick to the path made by the previous acharyas. The Goswamis do not deliver lectures on the Bhagavatam capriciously, that means whimsically. Rather, they execute their services most carefully, following their predecessors who delivered the spiritual message unbroken to them. And again, here he makes the point that the questions should not be done in a challenging spirit. One must submit questions with a great regard for the speaker and the subject matter. Okay, so this is all the culture that has to be learned from the Bhagavatam. So this culture also has to be learnt along with the philosophy. It is not just the philosophy, but this culture which is inbuilt within the Bhagavatam. And as we proceed, we will see that how at every point of time, in every pastime, we will see the culture. And here we can see that culture of how these sages are respecting Suta Goswami, adarat. So the last word here is adarat, with due regards, with respects. So they're asking questions with great respects. Otherwise, so there must be respect for the speaker as well as the subject matter. Otherwise, when the culture is not known, then we find that people ask in such a challenging spirit. Srila Prabhupada, many times he had to face greatly challenging questions. You may know that pastime, it's on record, of course. Prabhupada was speaking on the Varnashram, and then somebody got up from the audience and said, "Okay, Swamiji, you are speaking about 4 classes. Which class do you belong to?" So, like that, so many challenging. Of course, Srila Prabhupada was so expert. Srila Prabhupada just said, "5th class, servant of all." The man kept quiet. So, but Srila Prabhupada had to face so many challenging questions like that. Because why? The culture is not known. The culture is not known. So along with the study of the philosophy of the Bhagavatam, the culture also has to be understood. Why the culture is important? Yes, bro.
Is it because if we don't understand the culture, you cannot apply the knowledge in the first place?
Yes, good point. Yes, if one doesn't know the culture, one will not be able to apply the knowledge. Any other points? Why the culture is important? Yes, bro.
Then the teacher will not be inclined to give the secret.
Okay, so the teachers also will not be inspired to reveal everything. To reveal everything. That's correct. So the culture acts as a conducive environment for the learning to take place. Okay, so the conducive environment is created by the culture. Otherwise, if there's no culture, no etiquettes are being followed, there are aparads, offenses being committed, what can one learn? What can one understand? Very difficult. Okay, text 6. So now the sages are speaking. Rishaya uchu tvaya khalu puranani setihasani chanaga akhyatanyapi aditani dharma shastrani yanyuta. The sages said, "Respected Suta Goswami, you are completely free from all vice. You are well versed in all the scriptures, famous for religious life, and in the Puranas and the histories as well, for you have gone through them under proper guidance and have also explained them." So here the sages are saying that Suta Goswami, he is qualified to speak on the Bhagavatam, and they are listing down the qualifications of Suta Goswami. Please read the purport.
A Goswami or the bona fide representative of Srila Vyasa must be free from all kinds of vices. The 4 major vices of Kali are illicit connection with woman, animal slaughter, intoxication, speculative gambling of all sorts. A Goswami must be free from all these vices before he can dare sit on the Vyasasana. No one should be allowed to sit on the Vyasasana who is not spotless in character and who is not freed from the above mentioned vices. He not only should be freed from all such vices but must also be well versed in all revealed scripture or in the Vedas. The Puranas are also parts of the Vedas, and histories like the Mahabharata or Ramayana are also parts of the Vedas. The Acharya or the Goswami must be well acquainted with all these literatures. To hear and explain them is more important than reading them. One can assimilate the knowledge of the revealed scriptures only by hearing and explaining. Hearing is called Shravan and explaining is called Kirtan. The two processes of Shravan and Kirtan are of primary importance to progressive spiritual life. Only one who has properly grasped the transcendental knowledge from the right source by submissive hearing can properly explain the subject.
Yes. So what are the qualifications of Suta Goswami mentioned here? So one qualification is that he is well versed in what? Puranani, sa itihasani. So he is well versed in all the scriptures, the Puranas, the Itihasas, and he is Anaga, freed from sin. You will find in the Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna sometimes addresses Arjuna as Anaga. Then Akhyatani api aditani. So Akhyatani means explains, and aditani means he is well read. So he has done both these things. He has read, he has heard, and at the same time he has explained. He has explained Dharma Shastrani, so all these Dharma Shastras and everything else. So one point Prabhupada says, no one should be allowed to sit on the Vyasasana who is not spotless in character and who is not freed from the above mentioned vices. Why?
Otherwise, he will not give as it is.
Why?
The knowledge will not be given as it is. It will be contaminated.
Okay, it will be contaminated. Okay. Any other reason why this point is important? Freed from vice? Yes?
Because if you lack the purity, then you cannot put that purity into somebody else. And purity is the essence of being able to...
Okay, good point. Purity is essential for the subject matter to be presented properly, for others to understand, and for others' hearts to be transformed. So the purity is essential. Okay.
We see the validity of religion by its fruits, and if the person advocating philosophy that it does not apply, you think it is not a hypocrite and you don't.
Good point. So if the person is only speaking but is not applying, then people will say he's a hypocrite. Why should we hear him? So in that connection, Srila Prabhupada told the story, you may know that, of a mother who came to a guru, or some sage, some sadhu, and told, please instruct my son, he's eating too many sweets. Huh? Okay. And then what happened?
Then the guru takes a break from, he tells her,
Come after
some time. He himself stops eating sweets so that he can instruct achar and prachar.
Correct. So the sadhu immediately does not give any instructions to the boy. Rather, he tells the mother, bring him after a week. Okay, fine. So the mother brings the child after a week. So after a week, the sadhu tells the boy that, see, listen, my dear boy, eating sweets is not good for health. Please stop eating too much sweets. So mother asks, you, if only this had to be spoken, you could have said it last week. Why you postponed it by 1 week? So the sadhu said, because at that time I myself was eating too many sweets. So then I practiced eating less, and now I am more qualified to instruct.
It will go more deeper inside.
So as you rightly said, that's the point. Otherwise, the other person will not take the message seriously if one is oneself not practicing. So both things are there. If one is not practicing, first of all, the speaker cannot speak with conviction because he is not practicing. And the person who is hearing also, his heart will not be affected because the person is not practicing. So why do you think Srila Prabhupada's words were so powerful? Message was the same, isn't it? It's the same message of the scripture. Prabhupada lectures in one sense are quite simple. Of course, they're very deep at the same time. But apparently the message is the same. But why was it that Srila Prabhupada's lectures, his words, affected the hearts of thousands of people? Thousands of people addicted to sense gratification, gave up sense gratification. How was it possible?
Living Bhagavatam.
Yes, the living Bhagavatam, that's precise. Because Srila Prabhupada, he practiced what he spoke. That is what affected. And that's what many people commented. Here we find a saintly person who's perfectly practicing what he is saying. As they say, walk your talk. That's what they saw in Srila Prabhupada. So, how much they understood the philosophy, that we don't know, but they could definitely see that here's a person, a genuine saintly person who is not a hypocrite. That's what they could understand. And that's why so many people's lives were affected. And that is why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu greatly emphasizes on this point, without going into details of the past time, but there is this important verse which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Dharma Stapana Hetu Sadhura Vyavahar. The principles of religion are established by the behavior of a sadhu. Why? Because people in general don't understand scripture. They don't understand scripture. But how will they understand? How will they develop faith? They develop faith by seeing the behavior of a saintly person.
Can you repeat the sentence?
Dharma Sthapana Hetu Sadhura Vyavahar. So you can search for it and read the commentary, very nice, elaborate commentary. Srila Prabhupada quotes from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, you can read it. So, but the important point is, that's how people develop faith in religion, by seeing the behavior of a saintly person. And that's why the behavior is so important for a saintly person. So, here he says that he should not dare to sit on the Vyasasana if he is not spotless in character. So then somebody may say, well, I'm not spotless in character, should I sit on the Vyasasana?
Take a chair.
Well, it's not the question of what is the type of asana. That is not the point. That's not the one who is giving the class, that whatever be the type of asana, is said to be Vyasasana because
Because he's speaking Srimad Bhagavatam.
he is representing Vyasadeva. It is not whether it's big asana or small asana.
But Prabhupada is saying here, right, one should explain what one is hearing. He's
No, no,
giving the encouragement for us to speak what we're hearing.
That is okay. But before that he said you should not dare to sit on the Vyasasana.
No, we do it as a service. We sit on the Vyasasana as a service, and second for our own purification, because it's a gradual process.
Okay, fine, as a service. Because it's an instruction. Somebody is giving an instruction. Okay, so we accept that. Okay, that's one point.
Also like Bhagavatam, who is speaking, he is getting purified.
Yes.
Who is listening, he is purified, and in general also.
Okay, that's also a good reason.
Who still is reading Prabhupada purport?
Yeah, so the message is the same. So actually that's what. So as long as we repeat the message as it is, so then it's not my message. So the actual message is coming from whom? From Vyasadeva. So I am simply repeating. Right. Therefore it is very important to repeat and not add something of one's own. As Prabhupada would often say, be a transparent via medium. Transparent via. Okay. And as you must have heard that Pastor Srila Prabhupada was asked, are you perfect? What Prabhupada said?
No, Krishna is perfect and giving his message.
So Srila Prabhupada said, I am not perfect, but the message I am giving is perfect because it is coming from the perfect source. Right. And of course, the other point is that one must be sincerely trying to come to that platform of spotless character. So all these points are there. Otherwise, everyone will say, sorry, we can't give Bhagavatam class. Okay, another important point Prabhupada is saying. You had a question, Prabhu?
Yeah.
You had a question?
Yeah, okay, bro.
Okay, fine. Another important point Prabhupada is saying is, to hear and explain them is more important than reading them. One can assimilate the knowledge of the revealed scriptures only by hearing and explaining. So somebody would like to explain this statement?
When
Wait.
Like once we hear and then we actually explain, then our understanding increases. Otherwise it's just hearing and gets lost. And second thing, what I understand by reading is, let's say we only read the verses, but when we read the purpose, we actually hearing from Srila Prabhupada.
Correct.
And then we explain to others. It's like you teach others, then you understand the concept better. Otherwise
Exactly.
it's just volatile.
Exactly. So I'm sure we all have that experience. If you're told to give a class, then what happens?
we read better from all directions so that questions come, we are prepared.
Yes. So obviously we know that
That's
we.
the best case.
Ah?
That's the best case. So that sometimes you just come, you read, and after you speak whatever comes to your mind.
But then the point does remain that when we have to explain to somebody else, then we ourselves study better. We actually invest our consciousness into the study because we know we have to present to somebody else. So better I don't cut a sorry figure for myself. So then one prepares properly. Then obviously one understands better when one. So therefore, for hearing, reading, and of course, as Prabhu said, so reading means not just a superficial reading, just for the sake of reading some verses. Yes. So.
One thing is like when we explain to others, many times we try to give our own realizations, understanding. But we see that many times those are not like concrete realizations rather than realizations of the acharyas we have presented. So is it good to just present like Srila Prabhupada or use our own understanding and realization?
So just now we read about Shukdev Goswami. So not repeating like a parrot, but then presenting the message in a way that is appealing to the audience. So that means the Siddhanta remains the same. And of course, what exactly is realization? Prabhupada gives a beautiful explanation in the fourth chapter, first verse purport. But the point is that when you talk of realization, the message of the parampara of the acharyas remains as it is. But we present in a way that is understandable to the audience that is present in front of us. That is the meaning of realization. And that is what Srila Prabhupada has so perfectly done. So if you see the commentaries of the previous acharyas, Prabhupada has taken exactly the same message. But what he has added those things which are relevant for the present time. Just like here, in this purport, Prabhupada has added something which is relevant for now. What is that?
Vices of Kali Yuga.
Yes, exactly. The 4 major vices of Kali Yuga. You will not find this in the previous Acharya's commentary. But this is Prabhupada has added because this is what is most relevant now. Right. In previous ages, how relevant this would be?
3 of the 4.
So not so relevant. People would be following. But now it becomes even more relevant. So like that. So, and that's what we find in so many of Prabhupada's purports. In one purport, Prabhupada writes about India-China war or India-Pakistan war. So many times Prabhupada speaks about United Nations. So you won't find this in previous Acharya's commentaries. Right.
Yeah.
But then Prabhupada adds so many things which are relevant for the current age. And that is how then the message becomes relevant to the current audience. So similarly, what we can add within our own speaking is examples which are more relevant to the current audience. But the message should be in line with the previous acharyas. Okay, so now like there are so many new things which are in use, like we have mobiles and laptops and social media and this and that. So then we can use some of these examples, which may not be, but of course again it has to be in line with the previous acharyas. And if any time we have doubts, better to clarify with seniors. Okay, fine, let's proceed. So here they have told, the sages have told some qualifications Suta Goswami. Now in the next verse they are telling some more qualifications. Ya niveda vidam shreshto bhagavan badarayanaha Anye cha munaya suta paravara vido vidu. Being the eldest learned Vedantist, O Suta Goswami, you are acquainted with the knowledge of Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of Godhead, and you also know other sages who are fully versed in all kinds of physical and metaphysical knowledge. So this here some other qualifications are being presented, and that is he is Shrestha. Yes, he is senior most, he is Shrestha, is one of the seniors there, and he is Veda Vidam. So he is a scholar of the Vedas, he has heard